But tonight it's going to be a little different angle when they talk about the law of the spirit of life and how to walk it out and how important it is. And so I will upload tonight's message. I'm not exactly sure if I'll get it done tonight or if I will wait in the morning to do it. So I'll see. It all really depends on how the signal is. If the signal runs good tonight, I may go ahead and edit it and then and post it. But we'll see. I hope that everybody in here has a decent handle on what it means to walk in life, or at least has in their mind an acceptance of the message, because usually trying to get past people's carnal mind to even think it's possible is where the challenge is. So I hope that everybody that's been coming in here is, you hear it every day, sometimes twice a day, that you can live and you don't have to go through physical death. It's just a matter of learning the law behind it. And I've always looked at it like this, if you are at a stoplight, you have a left turn and you have a right turn. And you wouldn't even have a left turn if there was not a right turn, because that's the definition of left is, there is an opposite. And so up, if there's an up, there's a down. If there's an in, there's an out. If there's a hot, there's a cold. So if there is death, then there is life. And so I have just seen the possibility that if we can die, which everybody says, oh, yes, brother, that's possible. We got all the evidence in the world to say it is. Then it is possible to live. We just haven't seen any evidence of it, but that doesn't mean that there's not a law to make it happen. So that's what my lives are about, trying to make people aware of this so that we can begin to exercise it. See, the laws don't work automatically for you. You work the laws. They're in place. I mean, you jump out of a plane. I mean, nothing is going to pull that parachute except you. And when you pull it, you engage a law called the law of drag. And that's what stops you from hitting the ground. But it'd be silly to think, well, I'm going to put this parachute on my back and I'm going to jump out of the plane and I just expect that the law will take over. No, it won't. So to know about the law of the spirit of life and not know how it works and just say, well, God will do it. It's his, he's in control. He knows when I need it. It's not like that. He gives us the knowledge so we can work the knowledge. He gives us the ability. He puts the laws before us and said, now learn, ask, seek, knock on how to use these laws, and then they will work. But you do have to work out your own salvation. So, Eric, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. We got 5, so let me go on and get started. One thing I want to make sure in every live, and especially this one tonight, is that there is a principle that runs from Genesis, thank you for the heartbeat, all the way to the book of Revelation. And it's called the law of the spirit of life. There's one called the law of sin and death. These are the exact same law. One's going in one direction. It's the law of sin and death going in a direction. But there's a law called the spirit of life that's the same law, but it's going in the opposite direction. So these are the same laws. It's not two different laws. It's the same law. When you're at the stoplight and you're going to make a left turn, but you decide, well, I'm going to make a right turn. It's the same street. Okay? Same street, different choice. So when you turn left, even though it's the same street, you're going to get a different experience on the left. You might have a Taco Bell, Burger King, KFC on the left. And then you might have, Denny's and Cracker Barrel and all that on the right. Well, which one do you want? It'd be silly to say, I want KFC, so you make a right turn. Well, you're not going to get it. I don't care how much you try. I don't care how much you search for it, all the way on the right. You ain't going to find it because it's on the left. Well, death is in the carnal mind. That's the left. So you turn left, and you know that to be carnally minded is death, and you still choose to go there. I just believe God's going to turn this thing around. I know storms up ahead, but I know God's in control. No, because you made the decision to turn. And I'm telling you, don't go that way. There's a right turn. Go that same street. I know it may seem impossible, but in the same law, you can live. So if I can die on one end, then I can surely live on the other. It's just knowing you have that decision and that choice to make. So every story in the Bible is connected to that one law. Every little Bible story, everything we've ever been taught, it is all connected to a principle that God's trying to get over to people. Remember, God sends a prophet in the earth to speak words of life, because God's desire is not that anybody should perish, but that they would come into the kingdom of light and be delivered from the kingdom of darkness. What I'm telling you is that this law goes from Genesis to Revelation. So every story you hear, all the depictions of characters and all of that, they're all trying to tell us the same thing. And, religion got in there and made them all just cute little stories, Hey, Starfire, thank you for joining. And James, thank you for joining. And so, but if we can know that, then before you even read the story, you're already looking to see the understanding of that law. And then when you know to look for it, you will find it. It'll be in there. So we know the story. I've talked about it well when it comes to the woman with the issue of blood found in Mark chapter 5. How that she had had a blood disease for 12 years. Nobody really knows what the blood disease was, but it was a blood disease. And she spent all that she had during these 12 years going to the physicians, trying to find out, what was going on. And of course, the doctors were saying, well, you tell us what's going on. And she would sit down and say, well, I've been having this problem here in my side. And then, and then from that, I had problems in this side over here. And then it ran down my legs. And I found out, I was bleeding and all, whatever the symptoms were. So they asked her what the problem was. She went to her body and said, hey, my body's saying and telling me this. And then so they went to her body to confirm what her body was telling her. And they both came to the agreement. Oh, this must be the truth, because your body's telling us the same message, And then, of course, we built tradition on all of that. So now everybody in that time was just, in her life, and the doctors were all kind of congregating around the problem that was speaking to them. So she did that for 12 years, following all the advice, trying to take everything they say and apply it. But you have to understand that they were looking at her physical body, trying to come up with carnal solutions. And carnal solutions, they don't work too good on the body. They don't have lasting results. They just kind of put a Band-Aid on top of things, but they don't get to the root. And so she did that for 12 years, spent all she had, nothing better, but rather grew worse. But then she heard of Jesus, or she heard of his word. She may have not even ever seen him. She heard of the word that Jesus was preaching. Somebody may have come in and said, hey, there's a guy out there talking about you can live and not die. There's a guy out there talking about, and healing people, and there's life and hope. And so she began to look at her situation, and she said, well, how? See, this is where it takes a thinker, a person that wants to solve an issue. They have to go inside and think and contemplate and ponder the path of their feet. It's not just, oh, let's go to that new prophet down the road, and everybody's going there, and and the prophet says, all this stuff and nice stuff to you, and God's gonna do for you, and then comes the old shocker. If just 12 of you, God said, I heard it. Yes, Lord, I heard you. 12 people, they just give $1,000. God would expedite the miracle just for you. Forget the guy that can only give 10 cents, but that $1,000, God, yes, he's moved by that. He sees your sacrifice. That kind of deal. That's a con. I'd say run from that. You're not gonna get a solution with that. I can promise you. Why? Because I used to be one. I've done that. Not necessarily ask anybody for money, but I was the one that gave the money with full faith and confidence that this was going to happen. I was actually hearing from a prophet of God, and I just knew it. But I didn't recognize a con then. I was so desperate for something to happen, And so, but she gave everything. But she heard of Jesus. And something clicked in her. She said, in essence, she said, now if I, for 12 years, can meditate how sick I am on the inside, and I can talk to myself and communicate this feeling of sickness my body's telling me, and if I can have confidence in what the doctors tell me, and then I go back and rehearse what they say, and it just makes me worse. Well, what happens if I change the message? Because one message was death and uncertainty, but the message of Jesus was about life and also certainty, a surety that if you believe, you shall be saved. You shall be healed. Those are superlatives, man. It's shall, man. You can't get much stronger than that. So she, in her own mind, she said, well, if I just change the message and I take what he said and put it in my mind and say it within myself over and over and over again, and I begin to see it, then could it be that on the other side of the record would be healing and health and getting better instead of getting worse? And she did that in her mind. So she changed the way she was thinking. You see that? And that's why when Jesus said repent, he said change the way you think. That is the solution. No matter what problem you have, just find out how you keep strengthening the problem by what you think all the time. Worry, fear, unbelief, not sure, the uncertainty of it. I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't. But what if you already know what's going to happen? Well, how am I supposed to know what's going to happen? Well, what did the woman do? She said, if I but touch his clothes, I shall. It's another superlative. Be made whole. I shall be healed. But she kept saying it. She said within herself and kept saying within herself. How do you speak within yourself? Well, that's where your imagination comes in, guys. It's not just, okay, I'm just going to say I'm going to be healed. I'm going to be healed. I'm going to be healed. No. Words are images. When you really speak with conviction, you see it in an image. She saw herself being healed. She said, if I could just put on his garment. It said touch the hem of his garment, but the word touch there means to actually put on. To be consumed with it. Like you're putting this heavy garment on top of you and you're wearing it. You're being, in essence, baptized and covered in this thing. You see that? James said, don't you think if we were meant to die that Jesus would have healed all those that he did? Yeah, that's right. If everybody was supposed to, and if it was God's will, then Jesus would have been going against God's will to heal him. That's why people say, well, I just believe God's going to heal me. Or better yet, I just know God put this on me to teach me something. Well, then don't go to the doctor. Let the sickness teach you something. Learn your lesson well. Don't worry about going. Sit there till you learn your lesson. Well, I don't know what the lesson is. Well, the real lesson might be, hey, dummy, don't you want to be well? Yeah, well, then get up and go get well, you know? And that's what the woman learned. She learned that, you know, if I can sit there under those doctors for 12 years and suffer many things and not get better. That's the reason they put that in there. She went to the doctors and went to their wisdom. Doctors are not wrong. It's just their wisdom falls short of the glory. They're going to give you exterior things to help you, but you have something inside. And we just don't know about it. And so this woman went inside. She saw in her imagination that she was well. She was healed, that she was made whole. And she saw it not just a couple of times. She saw it until it literally convinced her subconscious mind that that image that she saw was real and that she was healed. It was real. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what your physical eyes are seeing or your physical senses are seeing and feeling and the information it gives than your imagination. It thinks it's all real. And whichever one is the dominant thought or the dominant vision, that's the one that's going to be produced in the body, because the subconscious mind is going to make sure it is. That's the key to changing your position, to go from sickness, anxiety, fear, worry, to go from that to being the person that you desire to be. Most people don't have an image of themselves other than their problems and their situations or what their senses tell them. They don't know that they're supposed to use their imagination. They don't understand that. But that's why I come up here. See, I think there are lives available in all of us, but have to bring it back to the surface of our thoughts. That's right, we do. And and nobody can do it for us, ain't no doubt about that. Your mind is the battlefield. You have the carnal mind, the mind of Christ, and you get to choose. One is death, one goes left, the other's life, the other goes right. And you get to choose. You're at the stoplight. And you can't be halt between two opinions. Because whichever way you go, that's what you're going to get. So it's good to know what's on the left and what's on the right. So, but that was my point, is that this woman worked a principle. She saw it in her mind. And because she saw it, she said it. She became it. When she put the garment on, it was like, in her mind, it was Jesus' garment, and Jesus was a priest. He was a high priest by the order of Melchizedek. So they understood Jewish law. They understood the temple. They knew who Jesus was saying he was. She put on his garment in her mind as if she became the high priest. And the high priest wasn't allowed to have any blemish. So when she put it on, she saw herself healed. And she saw herself able to walk through the veil into the Holy of Holies, where God is, and God would accept her. Because everywhere else she had to go, she had to hold a sign up that said unclean. But you can't be unclean and go into the Holy of Holies. So a garment was made so the high priest could put it on, and God would see the high priest through that garment. So she put that garment on, and in her mind, that garment that she put on was her righteousness. It's the thing that says I can stand before God as if sin never existed, because God sees me in this garment as being holy and righteous and perfect. Well, if you think you're going to think of yourself as being a sinner and unholy and unrighteous, none of us are perfect but Jesus, what makes you think you're going to be able to access the throne of grace. God said, come boldly to the throne of grace. He didn't say stand out there at the gates and bang on them, God, and beg God, please do something. He said, no, come boldly. How can you go boldly into the throne room if you're unrighteous? You wouldn't. You have to, the scripture says, yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Well, see, that valley of the shadow of death is what that veil was called, because if you're looking at it, it's like, say, you're at the top and you're looking down, you would see this valley that you got to walk through. It's not just one veil, it's two, and they overlap. And so there's a valley that the priest would have to walk through this valley to get to the other side. This side's the Holy of Holies, this here's the inner court. So he'd stand there, walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and fear no evil. Why? Because the garment made him holy, perfect, without spot, without blemish. Do you see that? That's what she knew. So she, in her mind, put that garment on. That's why I say when she touched the garment, she put it on. So she knew if she could take on the identity of that, it didn't matter what was on her, it was going to come off. So that's the whole concept, and all that's in your mind. All of that we have to kind of look at. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. He says, I will give you rest. This rest is well, we think, oh, when a person dies, they rest in peace. There ain't no peace there. Because when people are dead, everything is missing and everything is broken. You understand? That's not peace. That's not rest. Peace that passes all understanding is the kind of peace that looks in the face of death and says, get away from me. You can't touch me. I have no fear. Remember, he delivered us from the fear of death. See, the fear of death is representing, that comment is representing going through the valley of the shadow of death unholy. When you get to the other side, you see that? You would be fearful that you wouldn't come back out. So he said, well, he just delivered us from the fear of death and him that had the power of death, which is the devil, which is the carnal law, which is what that veil represented. Oh, the devil's an entity. No, the devil is the thing that separates you between God and your divine nature. It's your carnal mind. And your carnal mind keeps your body very carnal and subject to death. But if you can ever put the garment on, if you could ever use your imagination, learn how to do it, you'd see yourself well, holy. Instead of saying, I'm a sinner. I'm just an old wretched sinner. Well, then you wouldn't even be worthy with that kind of mindset to step in the presence of God or even have God show up in your life. Why? You're unclean, right? That's what happened with the woman for 12 years. She was unclean, but that was also her declaration. And she did that because by the law of Moses and all those laws that they instituted for those kinds of conditions of, if you have leprosy, you can't get in the mix with others. You got to hold up a sign and yell, I'm unclean. Don't come near me. That builds this, I'm not good enough to be in your presence. And every time somebody says you're a sinner, they're telling you you are not good enough to be in the presence of God. Now, we know on our own, without the knowledge of the law of the Spirit of life, all of our rags, if we're just depending on our carnality, all of it would be like filthy rags. But see, he says he washed them white as snow. How? Because he just switched out the garments. He gave us his garment. He gave us his life. And if we can see ourselves in his life and walk in the light of that, then death can't touch us. See, all of this is in the mind. It's no hocus pocus. There's no amount of money or going to church or cleaning toilets or cutting the church yard that's going to get you there. There's no amount of visiting people. There's no amount of praying. There's no amount of speaking in tongues. There's no amount of giving money. There's no amount of passing out tracts that's ever going to cause your mind to change. As a matter of fact, it gets bitter because just like our jobs, the harder we work, we ought to believe we ought to get that promotion, and then you don't. It just makes you bitter. And people in church are very bitter because they come to church already with the mindset that if somebody preached to them and said, if you don't go to church, God's going to be angry with you. If you don't get saved, you're going to die and go to hell. Already using condemnation, using the enemy to lure them in. Death is an enemy. But see, Jesus delivered us from death. So why are we using death as a tool to bring people in? Through fear? No. Once you tell people you've been reconciled with God, He's not imputing your sins against you. He sees you as He loves Himself. See that? He sees you like Himself. And He loves you just the way you are. Yeah, but you don't know my life. Well, good. God don't know it either. All He knows is you're Him. You are in His image, and He sees you, and that's the beauty about the way righteousness sees. Righteousness sees as if you've never sinned, and when you walk in righteousness, you don't have any condemnation. That is where real freedom is. And that only life can do that for you. Me preaching life is just shining a light into that concept because it's the truth. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth. And here's the truth. It's called life. And He says, and I give you the knowledge of this glory-filled life, and that's your freedom. That's your ticket. Once you know it, now it's up to you to begin to see yourself with it. And that's just the truth. And that's good news. So there's no hell, there's no punishment, there's none of this stuff that we're to use to try to con people in to come to the church so we can get more numbers on the wall. And then with more numbers, hey, more money, better pews, better equipment. Maybe we can even pay for a better preacher, or something, It ain't like that. It's not like what we have been taught. And I've been taught in every Christian church I've ever gone in, they all go by the same pattern. They might take up the offering a little bit different. Thank you for the heart me. They might do things a little bit differently. But in reality, it all says the same thing. You're a sinner. So, notice the woman had a blood dis-ease. You see that? Why? She was walking by this red blood, believing what this flesh was telling her. But the blood that they were supposed to put on the doorpost and on the mantle of the house over there in the Old Testament, when Moses went and led them out of Egypt, that blood, even though it was physical red blood of a lamb and so forth, it was representing the blood of Christ. And that blood is called anointing. It's anointing. It's light. One day, these veins will be filled with light. You see that? Light. Why? So that darkness can't have any hold on it anymore. No death. Because the life is the light that'll run through your veins, and death can't touch you. When's that going to happen? Well, when do you believe it? When do you get to a point? Because you're not going to experience the glory till you start having the knowledge of the glory. And then all of us have to follow the template of how the mechanics of the mind work. So we all got to change our mindset and go from trusting our senses to start using the imagination and trusting the process, which doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes immersion. It takes understanding. So I hope I'm helping somebody here. All right. With that in mind, let's finally get to what I was going to talk about. Well, golly, I took 31 minutes. I mean, how long is the message going to be? Oh, boy. That's right. When I donate, blood is going to be glowing. See, if you ever watch, what was that one movie? Beauty and the Beast, the little cartoon animated movie. You know, when the guy goes from the beast back to the prince or whatever, and you see the light and it kind of picks him up. Or if you watch the movie Shrek, the first one, how she turned back into, she thought she was going to turn into her right form, and she ended up staying like she was, but the light and all of that was coming out of her. Take a look at the Mount of Transfiguration, how light was coming out of God. How in the book of Ezekiel, that the prophet Ezekiel saw God as a light from a fire, a blaze of fire, light so bright from the top of his head to the loins. I mean, he just saw the glory. Paul, when his conversion took place, he said there was a light so bright like the noonday sun. It knocked them all down. See, that stuff was coming from within them. It wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from within. God was giving him a little taste of what he was all about. What made you think, or what do you think made Saul change his direction completely? Because he saw the light. That's what. Oh yes, I saw the light of the Jesus. No, you start seeing the glory. And I'm gonna tell you right now, once you start tasting and seeing that the Lord is good, coming from you, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's hard to remain in a carnal mindset. It really will change the direction. It'll change everything about your life, your goals, your principles, what your priorities. Everything changes. We no longer just get up here and talk and dance around it. Pretty soon, you're gonna have people say, "Let's prove this," because if it is provable, it has to be proven by principle. And so we have to know the principle, then it's left up to us to work the principle to prove it. But the good thing is that it's provable, and it's up to us. Little baby spider. Oop, there he is. Oop, and he's getting away. There he goes. Sorry, guys. Did he get away? I'll be crawling in my ear later. So anyway, that's, now I feel like I got spiders all over. What's going on here? Anyway, so that's the principle we have to look at. The glory of the Lord is within you. You just need the knowledge of the glory. And if it is the glory that raised up Jesus from the dead, which Romans 6:4 tells us, and Romans 8:11 says it's the Spirit of the Lord, which is, my word is spirit, and it's life. But the life is the light of men. The word, the entrance of the word gives light. That's the reason why God wants his word to abide in us. How does his word abide in us? It's in your imagination. It's in your mind. Because whatever affects the mind eventually gets to the brain. And the brain deals with the matter. Everything that's of matter. Your brain will do that, but it just needs to know where the switch is. And it's never had any instructions from the mind of Christ. It's always had instructions come from the carnal mind, which always keeps the brain activated in death. So it can't bring life to the body. Everybody's trying to figure out where's the cure for cancer. I know exactly where it is. I know exactly where it is. All the cure is in the mind of Christ. You're not going to find it in the carnal mindset. You got to go to the mind of Christ. And then the cure of all disease is right there. And then we got to learn how to get it from the mind of Christ to the brain. And then the brain, it takes over, and the whole body will fall into place the way it was meant to. So go over here to Genesis 37. Now, I told you about the woman with the issue of blood because I said it's a principle that runs from Genesis all the way to Revelation. So I want you to see it in this story of Joseph. Jacob had a son in his old age named Joseph, and if everybody's kind of familiar with it, should be. If you're not, go read Genesis chapter 37. Actually, you can go to chapter 37, I think, to chapter 50 in Genesis. It tells pretty much the whole story of Joseph and his life and all of that. But so these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock. He was out there taking care of the flock out there. And then in verse 3 it says, now Israel, which is Jacob, his name was changed to Israel, loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. Have you ever heard of that? You ever heard this story? The coat of many colors? I think Dolly Parton wrote a song called Coat of Many Colors. And he put it on his son, right? And his son wore it. And because of that, verse 4, and when his brothers saw that, their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. Who does he think he is? Kind of sounds like the religious folk doing. Who do you think you are? All of that kind of attitude. But the coat was given, and he put that thing on. Does it already sound familiar to you? Does it already sound like something like that woman with the issue of blood did? So he put the coat on. His brothers started hating him for it. And in verse 5, Joseph dreamed a dream. And he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more for it. You know, it's interesting because I've been to churches and all, and my wife and I, we used to sit in Bible studies, and they'd be talking, you know, some stuff in there that's like really elementary. I mean, you know, 60, 70-year-old people still talking about, you know, just little David, and he had just a few stones, and he just, you know, and he threw it, and God gave him the strength to throw it. Amen, brother, sister. That was a good, you know, and they're still on that. You can go to Sunday school, you know, and they were teaching the toddlers that story. And here we are, 60, 70-year-old people still talking about that. Don't understand what it means, but that's the stuff we were around. I was like, these are people that don't read their Bible. And you can tell who does because they talk above the tradition. They see something that others don't see. When they're looking for it. A lot of people read the Bible, but they still don't have much revelation of it. And when you have had revelation of it, you kind of see it. and you're not looking for it. It's just kind of right there in your face. But usually, you know, they would say to me and my wife, have y'all got something you want to say? What do y'all think about that? Well, it's kind of hard for me to say, yeah, y'all are so right. You little David and them 5 stones. And they were smooth too, weren't they? You know, and I'm all of a sudden wanting to tell them what I'm seeing. And when I tell them what I'm seeing, they say, who do you think you are? Where's that? What Bible you got? It's a King James Bible, you know, the same one you got in your hand right now. Same translation. But, you know, they look at us like we're odd. But it's because we spent years getting past all that stuff. But that's what his brothers were doing. See, they didn't understand what he saw. And it said that Joseph dreamed a dream. You know what that is? Well, he went to sleep, just had a dream one night. No, he dreamed a dream. This is the exact same thing that the woman with the issue of blood did. She chose to see herself the way she desired to be. Joseph dreamed. This was a choice. It wasn't something God put him to sleep and gave him a dream. No, he chose it. Because his father said, and he felt with that coat on, that there was something important about his life. And so he began to see himself over his brethren, not for the purpose of dominating them. Let's go and read it. He said, and he told his brothers this dream and so forth, and they hated him the more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made this bowing. I've always had a hard time saying that word. You know how to say that word? Obeisant. It's one of them kind of words that are slippery words. Right down there in verse 7. But anyway, so in other words, you bow down to my sheep. This wasn't something that he was, you know, that he just saw in a dream. No, this was what he was saying. He was telling them, there's going to be a wisdom about me that you don't have, that you're going to have to come to me. And there's a reason for that, because in the principles of law and how to get life to work, the very first law that must be in place, and God told me this, He said, this law is the law that makes every other law work. It's called lordship. And lordship is like a protege goes to a mentor, and he submits to the mentor because he believes that what the mentor has will raise him up. That's called lordship. You see that? So Joseph had a dream on purpose, and he put himself up as if he had wisdom, even though he was the youngest. His father said it, and he believed his father. Now remember what I told you, the mind of Christ becomes the Father, the source of every need being met. It's the source of wisdom, the source of finances, the source of your care, provision. It's the source of health. It's the source of life. It's in the Father. So Joseph looked to his father, which was the mind of Christ within him. I want people to get this. And he chose to see himself as a deliverer for his family. But they were going to have to submit to him. Not him, the person, but his wisdom. And that's what they couldn't do. They couldn't do it. So they tried to get rid of him, which is what a lot of times they try to do with me. Get rid of me. Because they don't want to submit to the wisdom, because they don't want to think, well, who do you think you are? They have no idea that the person getting the wisdom, the whole purpose of it is to serve humanity, is to help them, is to serve them. And so Joseph did this. Verse 8, and his brother said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? See, they're all worried about position, but he's worried about, he's got compassion. But he didn't have their respect. Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? Look, the dominion that Adam lost was never to rule people. It's to rule everything else. Dominate it. Bring life to it. The only reason that we have authority over things is to bring life to it. To give it life. So Joseph had a dream. On purpose, he used his imagination and saw himself over his family for the purpose of serving them. They, as most people would, got offended and felt like, well, who do you think you are? But the woman with the issue of blood, when she decided that nothing was getting better, but rather grew worse, she decided to dream a dream. And she put her imagination in place. Now, some people say, you just dreaming. That's the reason why when it said Joseph dreamed a dream, he did it on purpose. He used his imagination and he saw himself with wisdom that would save his family. Now, they didn't believe it, so what did they do? They tried to kill him. They tried to sell him to the Midianites, went to Potiphar, was in jail, was wrongly accused of all kinds of stuff. But that's the problem. See, people want to take and use carnal law against you to bring one thing to Joseph, condemnation. But Joseph did not get into condemnation even though he was sitting in prison because he was delivered from the law. The only thing he was consumed with was his dream. And that's what I'm telling you. If you want to make the switch to go from death to life, you're going to have to dream a dream. You're going to have to see yourself outside of death, not subject to it, but over death. That's why God wants to raise you up and make you sit together in heavenly places. Where's that? In life, in Christ. So that death, which has been a brother, remember, love your brother, love your neighbor as yourself, because your brother, locked in the carnal mind, is you. And you can't raise you up until Christ in you raises your thinking. And so you begin to think through life. And then all of a sudden, now you can turn to your carnal mind and say, I'm here to save you. That's why I said you have to work out your own. Your own is you, mind of Christ, the one thinking through life, the one that's changed his mind, has to go and save your carnal mind. Get death off of it. And we're too busy holding on to it because we may not even understand what I'm saying all the way. But see, all of this happens in your mind. And once you understand that by law, if you can dream a dream, if you can use your imagination and put yourself as the best version of yourself, you'll create that version because that's what you do. God spoke what he desired, but he couldn't speak what he desired until the desire was there first as a blueprint. And then he spoke what he saw. It says, God said, and it was good. And God, it's like God said it, then he saw it was good, but he didn't. He saw it was good, then he said his conviction. He said what he saw, and he would not say anything else other than what he saw. And when he saw it to that extent, when he said it, power was released out of him to create the thing. So you got to see it first. That's why I always say, use your imagination until you see it, say it, and be it. Don't be looking for, the miraculous to happen without that process first. Because the only thing keeping the miracles from happening is your carnal mind. That's where death is. And death is trying not to get you to look to the mind of Christ. It doesn't want you to understand. It don't want you to have a dream. Even Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. What do you think? God conked him on the head one night and put the dream in him? Or do you think he had a dream? His passion was to see peace, to get rid of the civil unrest, to bring everything together. And a lot of people are, but when you got all kinds of carnal mindsets involved, we got to get rid of that person. But if you can hold on to a dream, I don't care what they do, it'll come to pass because it's law. That's what I'm saying. This is all based on law of lordship. That means if you can just put me in this position just because I'm here talking to you. But if you can take me as the Joseph, just take it as the Joseph for now. See what I'm saying. And instead of being the brothers that kind of go off and complain and try to, get rid of him, why don't you just say, yes, amen, so be it. That's what the centurion did. The same principle was in his mind. Came to the word, whatever you say, it is so. Because it's law. And once you make up your mind that my word in you is no different than Jesus' word in them, because it's law. It's just law. Gravity's no different today than it was then. So it doesn't raise me up, I'm some special person. No, it's just that you have an opportunity in this meeting to get words of life. So if I can tell you right now, if you can see yourself with whatever you desire, because God gives you all the desires of your heart. In other words, he gives you the key to make everything you desire, anything you imagine, it'll give you the power to make it happen. This is the key. Use your imagination. Know that it's so, and know that God's not telling you you can't have it. But once you enter into that imagination, you've got to let the power within you, the law of the Spirit of life, do the work. God doesn't need your help to do it. He just needs you to see it, say it, and be so convinced that it's so. Because what he's going to do, the work of the Father, is to magnetize you. He's going to open you up, the windows of heaven, where there's like a power that'll draw everything to you. The Father is God's life in you, drawing everything to you, so that when people look at you, they'll say, how did that happen? Well, it was the Father within me that did the work. And if you can take the principle of lordship and say, well, you say it, I believe it, that settles it. Where does it settle it? In your heart. Where's your heart? It's your mind. And if you can see it, say it, and be it in your mind, it's already settled. You have to have that attitude. If you say it, I'll see it. And if I see it, I'll say it, and I'll be it, and it'll be settled. I don't care, come hell or high water. It don't matter. No matter what the situation says. What's that got to do with it? Because you're no longer referring to the senses. That's why I said, don't consider your own body now dead. Don't worry about it, because your body can't produce life on its own. Don't go to something dead to try to find life. Go to the place where life is generated, where there's this dynamo working on the inside of you in your imagination. It knows how to get this to become life. It knows how to take the word of life, which is light, and change everything in this body to conform to that which you see in your mind. But if you refer to your carnal mind, you won't do it because you'll convince yourself it's stupid. What are you doing imagining all that? You stupid bozo brain. Your own carnal mind will talk you right out of it. And you don't have to tell anybody. This is not about go announce it to everybody. No, this is about something that you do in your mind. Believe me, you will announce it once things start happening, because you're going to have a passion to go tell everybody else, get your loved ones free from death, to get them to understand they got a part of their mind they've never been introduced to, called the mind of Christ, the mind of life. So the principle is the same. Woman with the issue of blood, nothing better, rather good worse, spent all that she had, got down to the bottom of the barrel, had a dream, saw it, said it, became it, healing of her body, everything changed. She was made completely whole. Joseph had a dream, instigated by his father with a coat of many colors. He put that garment on, and what did it do? What would it do to you if you all of a sudden were standing in a palace and they came and made you a king, and they put a crown on your head and put that robe around you, and you stand up with a scepter in your hand? Your whole personality will change. Everything, you feel your royalty. That's why putting the word in your imagination makes you go instantly from poverty to wealthy, from sickness to health. There's no time involved. It's just immersion. If you can see it, you can become it. You just have to look at a different script. Don't believe the one the religion gives you, because it's there to keep you bound. So I'm hoping that everybody is understanding this, because this is powerful. And you can study the Bible, and you can do like I did, take the next 30, 40 years to study, and I promise you're going to get fed up with religion if you're not already. And you're going to just wring your hands and say, what am I supposed to do? You'll have something crying in you, even right now. If something's crying in you, saying there's got to be more than what religion has told us. There's got to be. It can't just be God sent us here just to take us out of here, just for us to come back here. We're not yo-yos. That's God don't have us on a string. We're real boys. Got no strings to hold me down. Well, religion wants to keep us on the strings. It wants to string us along. And they're doing it harmlessly. They don't really know. Ignorant people are ignorant. It's just when ignorance has gone to seed, and they're fighting to be ignorant. That's what I hate. It's not a sin to not know, but it's not a very good thing to stay there in ignorance. Not when you got a chance to move and change things and redirect your mindset. So yes, I understand, Adam. I will make my dreams grow. I have now. I trust in me. Exactly. Trust in the Lord. See, it's the Lord of your life. The Lord of your life is the mind of Christ over the life that's in your carnal man. And you got to lord over the carnal mind, because you got to get death off of it. Jesus did it by showing us the strength of the life that we have in us. We saw the strength of that life 3 days after he took upon death for the purpose of showing the strength of that life when he was raised from the dead. Now he says, if you can take the same life that Jesus and the same spirit that he had in him that raised him from the dead and know that it's in you right now, then you would take that same power that raised him from the dead and it would quicken your mortal body. You see, it'll get death off of you. That was what the whole lesson, that's the reason he died. To show people that veil, which represented the carnal law, cannot stand between you and the God in the Holy of Holies, which is Christ in you. You got to get rid of the law and get rid of that condemnation. So I'm here to tell you there's not a single thing wrong with any of you. Nothing. Because I'm speaking to your divinity. I'm speaking to your potential. I'm speaking to how God sees you to be. Because that's how I see you. And it would do you well, even though you may not understand everything, it would do you well to say, you know what, maybe I should think that way of me. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Because at least you're starting to turn around. You keep believing like you've been going, and just, I'm a trying. My preacher tells me that I'm a sin. Well, you know where that's going to lead you. You already know that. I mean, you don't want to go there. I mean, your final statement in the church should not be when they lower you down in that casket. That's not supposed to be a legacy that you were supposed to wear. You're supposed to wear the coat of many colors. You're supposed to wear that's what the coat of many colors represents. It's the light that comes off like a diamond, and it refracts that light. It's like all coat of many colors. It's the glory on you. That's powerful. And you can have that. You're wired for it right now. It's right now. Well, don't worry that you can't see it, right? Don't go there. Just don't consult your body for it. Change your mind. Your mind knows how to take care of the body. So don't go to the body and see if it's working. Well, I don't understand. You said that I'd have $100 in my account by 3 o'clock tomorrow. And it's 5 o'clock. I don't see nothing. Well, do you see it? I don't see it in my account. Well, don't stop looking there. That's not. You can look at your account all day long, and that ain't gonna make it happen. But if you can see it in your imagination and don't let go of it, I guarantee you it'll happen. Well, what if it don't happen by tomorrow at 3 o'clock? See it every moment of your day being 3 o'clock. Just let it be. Let the Father do the work. It ain't up to you. You just see, say, and be it until it's real to you. And that's why the Bible says that working the laws of God, it's easy to work. It's the carnal mind that makes it so difficult, but it's really not when you get down to it. Every time I worked a new job, when they trained me, I thought, man, how am I supposed to remember all this stuff? But it's amazing. Like a month after that, man, I was working that job like I'd been there for 10 years. Why? Because I paid attention to start with, and then I asked questions. I always ask questions. Always. And if it was equipment or computer or something, I learned it. Not because I had to, but because I would go over and above what I had to learn. And what that did for me is it gave me opportunity to work other jobs that others didn't know. And you know what they did with me? People looked at me and said, "You suck up. That's all you are." Well, I'll tell you one thing. When they needed somebody, they knew who to call. I call that job security. And that's smart. If you want to stay in front of death, you better understand how your mind works. Now, if you want to understand how your mind works, I have a course I'm working on right now. It's called The Mechanics of the Mind. If I could be bold enough to tell you, I don't want you to get mad at me. I don't want you to think I'm arrogant. I don't want you to think anything negative of me. I can't help it if you do, but I'm going to tell you, I'm bold enough to say it. If you get this course, it's all the knowledge you'll ever need. Is it? We've put so much trust in the education system. We put so much trust in everything we do, but we don't know how to get death off of us. But if you can get and understand this, it's all the knowledge you'll need. Why? Because it puts you on top. Everything else is subject to this knowledge. Now, I'm not cocky. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not selfish. I'm not trying to build myself up to be anything. It's just, I just understand law and I see it. And if I see it, if there was anything higher than it, I'd be stretching for it. But God told me that lordship was the law that makes every other law work. And that's spiritual law and carnal law, natural law. You ever learn lordship? If you learn how lordship works, you can control the wind, the sea, raise the dead. You can understand what lordship is about and the other laws that work with it, called the law of faith. And the law of lordship and the law of faith is what actually makes the law of the spirit of life work. So it's two laws that make the third one work. So it's like 3 in 1. It's kind of like the Trinity, But I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything like that. I'm just, there's an old Persian proverb that says that he who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Don't follow him. But he that knows and knows that he knows, he said, follow him. Because you might not understand everything he knows right now, but you know one thing, his conviction of what he knows is always going to be in front of you to lead you. because he knows he ain't backing down from it. I don't care. I left my job 17 years ago, and I haven't gone back yet, because I did exactly what the Lord said, and it produced a lot of stuff, a lot of challenges for me and my family. But I believe so much in the years that have gone by over what God has shown me, especially the past 3 years when He started showing me about the mechanics. It took me, 14 years to get to the place where I would be so desperate to finally get what God was trying to prepare me for. So these mechanics and how your mind works is the solution of all solutions. And you don't have to join anything, and you don't have to buy it. But you just got to give me time to get the material together. My wife and I are working on the outline today, more of it. So it's going to have 10 lessons to it. All of it's free. All of it's digital, so I'll be able to, if you want it, I can send it to you in the email when it does get completed. But you have to let me know you want it. You have to say, hey, look, put my name down. I've already got a couple of names down. We may not have a ton of people in here, but I would think 10 people in here. Every one of you say, hey, put me down for that thing, because if you're confident enough to tell me this thing will save my life and change everything, well, by God, nobody else is telling me. My preacher don't tell me that. Nobody, my tax preparer don't tell me that. My employer don't tell me that. My parents didn't tell me that. This guy must know something, because I'm bold enough to tell you. Jesus was bold enough to tell them, I am the way, the truth, and the life, because he knew the law. So if you look at the imperfections, I got a lot of imperfections. Don't look at them. But if you're going to base the truth on that, you might be missing your time of visitation. So, oh yes, and thank you, Julie. I mentioned it this morning, but the signal was bad. I wrote a book. I don't know, about 5-6 years ago, something like that, maybe. Well, it took me a few years to write it. It's called The Beginning, and it's a digital self-published book that is on an app called Inkitt, Inkitt. If you will download that, it's free. It don't cost you anything. It's just a place where people write books and they self-publish, and they just upload it in a digital book. It's called The Beginning, and if you key in the user, which is me, the author of the user, you just type in God, Man, Superman. It's the same as it is here on TikTok, and it'll pull me up and pull that book called The Beginning. I'm working on the second book. I think I've uploaded a couple of pages on that one called The Middle. And then I've got another book that'll proceed after that, or go after that one, called The End. So it's the beginning, the middle, and the end. And so it's they're fictional books, but they're good. It's a good story, and it deals with lordship. Kind of snuck that principle in there a little, so you have to really be paying attention to see it. But it's kind of like in a mystery. But it's called The Beginning. So if you just download the app, look up that God, Man, Superman under the users or wherever, you'll pull my book up. So I look forward to you checking that out. You can write comments, and I'll get notification of it. Tell me whether you like it, or whether, hey, I really like this story. Yeah, just tell me things you like about it. It'll encourage me. So, but hey, look, even up here, guys, look, my videos, my YouTube channel, don't get discouraged because it don't have a whole lot of views or a lot of subscribers or anything like that. This it hadn't even got off the ground yet. So, just spread whatever you can, share whatever you can, and we just want to get people to see this stuff, because none of it costs anybody anything but their focus and just the time to listen, but it'll change everything about their life. But, of course, we would like the numbers to increase, only because, when people come up here and they stay up here, it's encouraging to me, because now I feel like I get a chance to really help people with what God has shown me. And that's very gratifying. It fulfills that sense of purpose, and that it hasn't been wasted. Okay? So if you go up there and you find out not many people have read the book, Don't be discouraged. Just be one that does. Just be one that does subscribe or does watch the videos or does come to the live, because you're helping to make what's bound to happen. God said, I'm going to rock North Carolina, and you're the chair I'm going to sit in. Well, you're going to be the one to help to make that happen, and you ain't got to sew a penny into it. You just have to take it and believe it and let it change your life. Let it produce something, because that's how it's going to get people's attention. Okay? All right. Well, I want to thank you so much. I'm 8 minutes over. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'll be back again. Well, I'm not sure. I think I'll have a couple of errands to run tomorrow. So I may not have a live tomorrow morning, but I should have one tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So, again, I may not have it tomorrow morning. Got a couple of errands to run, but tomorrow night I will be. So, let's see. Thank you all so much. I appreciate the comments. You guys are awesome. All right. Well, until we meet again, I'm Adam King. God bless you. Bye-bye.